This demonstration is meant to explore poaching. In this particular case, it is a fillet of sockeye salmon, which I've just completed. So what you start with is classically called a court bouillon, and it can be carrots, onions, celery, parsley stems, and that's the base with some salt, maybe a splash of white wine if you want that for acidity or for fruit in there, but it will dissipate to a certain extent. So that's the baseline, very clean. It's just water. Again, the salt content should be fairly high because that's what's going to flavor the protein that's in the poaching liquid. And then from there it can vary into other areas of using tomato water. People poach things in milk sometimes. You can add lemongrass, ginger, garlic, cilantro, lots of pepper flakes. This has a little bit of a fennel seed in it. So this is a very baseline poaching liquid that I used for the salmon, but it can be taken in any direction that you want flavor infusion within the protein that's in the liquid. Very different. Obviously, this is what people used before sous vide came around, which is a totally different approach where the salmon would be taken and vacuumed into a bag with the flavoring agents in the bag and then poached at a very, very low temperature, about 110, 115 degrees perhaps, whereas the poaching liquid has to come up to a simmer, 210 Fahrenheit, and then it's going to drop down to about 190, 180, and just kind of sit. The slower you go, the lower the temperature, the less impact it has on tightening up the protein that's in there, especially if it's like a chicken breast. You want to do it very, very slowly. If it's a chicken breast too, you might want to actually have a thermometer around so you can probe the breast to see if it's near the 165 mark before you want to remove it. But obviously the part of this, the attraction of this is there's no fat used here. It's just the water and the fish, so no butter, no oil, nothing like that in here. There will be a little bit of natural oil that comes out of the salmon as it poaches in the liquid, but that is about it. So some form of liquid, some form of aromatic. Obviously there's a temperature that needs to be applied to it. You can do more than this. The size of the pot will determine the size of the protein that can be used for the poaching. But it's a technique that you just don't see on menus much anymore. It takes up space. The water, if used multiple times, becomes a little murky, over-flavored. You lose control of it. So it's just something that's gone away and been translated into steaming or sous vide, as I said. If you're going to do this at home, this liquid could be used again for whitefish or for shrimp or for salmon. Again, you might want to strain out the vegetables because their extraction has been achieved within 20 to 25 minutes. You've gotten most of the flavor out of them, so they can be strained out, save the liquid, because you're beginning to actually make a fish fumet almost at this point. So that could be used for other things. And so when it's done, also you can turn it off, and if you just want the flesh to be set, you can just let it sit in there, and that's fine to keep it warm. But obviously there is such thing as overcooking it. So what we want to do is take a look at this fillet of sockeye salmon and see. I'm using a perforated spatula so the liquid drains off of it, and so it's going to come out. And you can see it's just the beautiful color of the salmon itself that's there. And then if you take a peek on the inside of it just for temperature, I imagine that this one is set all the way through. But set, but still moist. But I do recommend some type of vinaigrette if you want to keep it light on here. Capers, horseradish, anchovy, Meyer lemon, lots of parsley on it, or a little bit of mayonnaise or some type of vegetable puree on top to enhance the fish. So high quality protein to start with. As much flavoring in the poaching liquid as you would like to add to it. Check your timing carefully. Keep a thermometer around if you really want to watch it carefully. But realize it is fairly forgiving. It's a gentle environment, low temperature, and you should have some great results. And it's just something to try any time of year. This does not necessarily have a seasonal attachment to it. You can do it any time of year, but we do tend to enjoy it more in the warmer months. So practice this at home and try it with different proteins or whitefish or shrimp and see if the results are satisfactory.